Hi everybody. I just thought, seeing there's been a lot of questions about it in the group, I was going to have a quick look at cropping or ratios for printing, as there's been quite a few topics in the group, and people struggle to seem to get their head around it on getting their images correct for printing. And it seems to be quite confusing for a lot of people. So I'm hoping that by showing some very, very basic cropping by ratio that it will clarify things. And I'm going to do this tutorial using both Photoshop and Lightroom. I've read lots and lots of people saying, oh, you've got to have this size on the longer side, that many pixels on the other, etc., etc. When actually, in my mind, it can be far, far easier than this. So we'll start with Photoshop. And I've got the crop tool already selected, and I'm going to use the drop down in the top left. And if we drop it down, we can see that we've got various options already pre-selected. Obviously, the original ratio, if I click onto that, it doesn't make any difference because on most cameras, the closest ratio to the picture that's created is a 3:2 image. What does that mean? It means that along the longest side is 3 and above the shortest side is 2. So it's a ratio of 3:2. Now, if I now move over to this image, which is in portrait, and I go to the original ratio, it's now 3 along this longer side and 2 along the shorter. It makes no difference. And in Photoshop and Lightroom, it will automatically go to whether the image is in portrait or landscape mode. So let's go back to that one. And we can now look down, and we've got some of the popular ratios already as presets. And all we need to do, for instance, if we want to do an 8:10 image, it relates to a 4:5 crop ratio. And if we break the ratio down, we can see it really simply. It goes 8:10. 2 goes into 8 4 times, and 2 goes into 10 5 times, hence a 4:5 crop. And I'm going to select this and we can see what happens on the screen. That is a 8:10 ratio crop. Now, the only thing we need to do is, bearing in mind we are maybe wanting to print this image, is we obviously need to decide by moving the picture around where we want the print image to be. So basically, if I decided this was what I wanted printing, everything that's in the lighter window would be printed, and I would lose this part of my image on the left hand side. So we have control now over where we decide the crop will fall on this image. The same with this one. As you can see now, with its 4:5 is selected, what I would need to do now on this image would be something like that. And that would also print as 4:5 or an 8:10 image. And as we can see, a lot of them, 4:3, that stretched it slightly. So that, for instance, would be a 12:9 image. Okay, and we can select these. 16:9, another popular one. The reason that these presets are in already is these are the popular print sizes that are available from most printers. 1:1 is square. So obviously what you'd do is you'd shuffle your image around until you were happy that you'd got the image where you wanted it printing. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell in Photoshop. So now let's have a look at Lightroom. Here we've gone into Lightroom. The important thing to notice is I am in the develop mode. And here, if we look, all we need to do is click on the crop overlay button on the right hand side. And it's very conveniently put the rule of thirds light grid in for us, so we can actually look at composition as well. This one is set to a 4x6, 2x3. If I wanted an 8x10, all I need to do is come up and click that. And then obviously what I can do, exactly the same as I did in Photoshop, is I can move the image round. Obviously we can't take it outside of that, so my only options with this one is a shuffle up and down. Again, the drop downs are available. 5x7, another popular one. Square crop, 1x1. And again, I can move the image round within the lighter coloured area, and that is what would be printed. So we do have a lot of control over where we wish to sit this as a crop if we wanted that as a 1x1 crop. And I don't think there's a lot else I can say about cropping to aspect ratios. You've seen in Photoshop that it automatically picks up between the landscape oriented. Let me just move that from one. Let's move it down to, let's say 16x9, which is a letterbox, what's known as a letterbox crop. As you can see, it's moved it around, and I can swing this around. On this image, I'd probably go to there. If I now go back to my portrait size image, you can see that it, again, up here it's showing 16x9. And again, obviously, I can decide where I want that crop to fall. I hope this has been useful for you, and I hope that it's simplified dealing with crops for printing. Thanks very much for listening and watching.